Welcome to the Manatee Chamber of Commerce's October Headliners Luncheon. You all know that we're featuring SeaPort Manatee, and we are thrilled to bring this type of programming and information to our business community. And welcome to the Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club. They've been a joy to work with in planning this lunch today. My first order of business, if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. And as you're getting seated, if you don't mind silencing your mobile devices, that may help us out once we have our speaker here at the podium. We have a number of elected officials who are planning to join us today, so I will read off the list of our Manatee County commissioners who also serve, you all likely know or will hear again from our speaker, as the Port Authority as well. Commissioner James Satcher, Commissioner Jason Bearden, Commissioner Ray Turner, and Commissioner Mike Ron. Thank you all so much for your involvement and your engagement with the Chamber. And from Congressman Vern Buchanan's office, a familiar face, we have District Director Tara Poulton joining us as well. Please give a round of applause to these very important public partners. You also will hear from him in a few minutes, but I certainly want to acknowledge your chairman of the board, Jeff Podobnik, with the Pittsburgh Pirates and Bradenton Marauders as well. For those regular attenders of our Headliners Luncheons, you know that a number of companies and corporations stepped forward to sponsor our monthly Headliner series. They make this type of event an opportunity for our membership possible. You'll see their logos up on screen, but we want to acknowledge Florida Power and Light, Manatee Memorial Hospital, the Mosaic Company, and the Realtors Association of Sarasota Manatee. You will also see a slide next and a banner behind me recognizing the platinum level investors of our chamber, and they are Brown & Sons Funeral Home and Crematory, Carr Riggs and Ingram, the City of Bradenton, IMG Academy, Manatee County Government, Manatee Memorial Hospital, MCR Health and All Care Options, NDC Commercial Real Estate Company. I may have just skipped the Mosaic Company as I'm thinking alphabetically. NDC Commercial Real Estate and NDC Construction Company, the Pittsburgh Pirates Bradenton Marauders, Raymond James Wealth Management, Bruce Body, Sarasota Bradenton International Airport, one of our newest platinum investors, SeaPort Manatee, and South State Bank. If you could please give a quick round of applause for these investors and partners. So I want to do a poll before we break for lunch. How many of you all have bought a Powerball ticket for tonight? How many people are zoned in? Okay, I think some of you may be like, oh gosh, I forgot tonight's one of the drawings and we'll be stopping somewhere on your way home. So like the entire country has Powerball fever right now, right? I think tonight's estimated jackpot, should there be a single winner, is like 1.73 billion with a B. dollars. So if you don't have a ticket, you might want to do it. And remember who reminded you to buy one. But I do have a tie-in here, I promise. What if I told you that there is a group of business leaders, professionals, folks with very specialized knowledge, running an organization in our county that generates almost 3 times annually what that Powerball jackpot is tonight? Well, you're here to hear about that today, because that team and that staff and that board are the amazing leaders who work for SeaPort Manatee, which generates an economic impact annually of more than $5.1 billion with a B dollars. So I'll take a ticket for that as well. SeaPort Manatee is one of the fastest growing seaports in the entire state of Florida, and Carlos Buqueras and his team are excellent examples of professionals who embody an entrepreneurial spirit. They think big, they're nimble, and they're constantly building relationships. I've been so impressed by how Carlos and his team have built those partnerships, and the Chamber is so proud to stand beside you in opportunities that help grow the port and the economic impact it has within our region. I could go on and on. I'm on their website pretty regularly, but I think you want to hear about all of this from Carlos and not from me. So we're going to take a short break for lunch, and when we come back in just a few moments, Chairman of the Board, Jeff Podobnik, will be at the podium to deliver a short bio on Carlos Buqueras, and we will get on with our programming. So please enjoy a few moments of networking. We'll allow the great staff here at the Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club to serve lunch, and we'll see you back up here in about 15 minutes.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're enjoying this great lunch this afternoon. You know, Jackie mentioned that there was a brief bio. Well, I wouldn't say this is a brief bio. 3-4 pages is a pretty significant bio. With 3 decades of distinguished Florida port leadership, SeaPort Manatee executive Carlos Buqueras is globally known for his visionary achievements in all facets of seaport business development operations. Since taking the helm at SeaPort Manatee in January 2012, Carlos, under the direction of Manatee County Port Authority, has collaborated with public sector and private sector partners in leading our deep water seaport through a period of unprecedented accomplishments, highlighted by numerous records for total tonnage, containerized cargo, and bulk cargo activity. Prior to coming aboard at SeaPort Manatee, Carlos served 22 years as Director of Business Development at Port Everglades in Broward County. He was responsible for $100 million in annual port revenue. Carlos is currently serving as chairman of Florida Ports Council, which functions as the professional association for Florida's 15 public seaports. In addition, he is an active member of the boards of directors of such organizations of our Manatee County Chamber of Commerce, Bradenton Area Economic Development Corporation, Gulf Coast Latin Chamber of Commerce. He has served a 4-year term on the Florida District Export Council, appointed by U.S. Secretary of Commerce John Bison. Carlos was recognized as one of the 2022 Power 100 by the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Guide to the region's most influential business leaders. Now, this is pretty cool. He is fluent in 5 languages: English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Catalan, which Carlos was trying to say, no, you don't need to say that, but that is a language within Spain, right? Which is pretty cool. And he holds a master's degree in administration degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison, New Jersey. Carlos, we are proud of the partnership between the Manatee Chamber and SeaPort Manatee, and thank you for your involvement as a board member, the engagement of your team in several chamber initiatives, and for the platinum level investment in the work of the Chamber of Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Carlos Buqueras. Carlos?
So thank you, the Chamber, for holding this event. I also want to, thank the board. Many of our board members are here. As you know, the Manatee County Port Authority is a different political body from the Manatee County Commissioners, and they act as a different political body in developing and approving the plans the port does. Also want to thank my staff. They filled up a whole table. So they are what makes this happen for me. Without the great staff that I had, I really couldn't do half the things that can be done. And they're all experts in their areas and also experts in what makes business grow here in Manatee County and throughout. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of where the port was many years ago, where the port is, and where the port is going. So that will give you an introduction to what's happening. And then, of course, we invite you to come call us and we'll give you a personal tour of the port. I think beneficial, if once every few years at least, you came over to the port and had the opportunity to take a private tour. We had to stop the public tours because we had a Hershey Chocolate Company trolley that we used to take around the port when the port was not very busy. If we did that today, 3 or 4 people might get hurt significantly. So we had to discontinue the public tours, which were very educational. So, check this. So, just to talk about gateway to global trade. Truly, the port has become a gateway to global trade. The oceans are connected, so you can get from the port to anywhere in the world by ship. There's no port that's out of reach for SeaPort Manatee. What we do, what we are, we're an international organization focused on expanding trade for Manatee County and the surrounding areas. The reach of the port goes to many other counties in the state of Florida and even throughout the world. So, talked about the board, as you all know, it's the same county commissioners as a port authority, but they sit essentially with different responsibilities, with a different chairman for the port authority, and they provided with essentially proposals and deals, and they approve the policy and the direction of the port, and it's my job to execute it. Now, just to go back on one thing, actually, we changed our name, as you remember. We used to be called Port Manatee. Port Manatee, Port Manatee, Port Manatee. And it started to happen that we're getting a lot of people didn't want to work at Port Manatee. We found out that they thought Port Manatee was the jail. So they didn't want to come up to the jail to work or live. So therefore, we thought at some point, we're a seaport. So let's change the port to SeaPort Manatee. And now we won't get confused with the sheriff's office facility, which is next to the port directly. A little look back. The ferry before the bridge that used to take you to across the bay, was only about $3, including car and passengers, So that bridge that was built, of course, replaced this ferry, the Beeline ferry, that essentially did the equivalent of the bridge and saved 49 miles, 2-year trip. So as a result of the bridge, the ferry was eliminated. A little bit of history, because the ferry is right next door. The remains of the ferry facility is right next to the port. Kind of interesting bit of history there. Let's look at the port. Back in 1965, 357 acres were purchased. The price, I'm sure, is going to blow somebody's mind, the price of that land at that time. So it was rather reasonable to purchase, and it created SeaPort Manatee back in 1965, the beginnings of SeaPort Manatee. Port started very humbly. It started with, 2,000 tons of Korean plywood. And from there, it has grown to what it is today. We handle every commodity. We handle everything that you might eat, touch, drive, or play with at the port. We deliver to you indirectly, because it goes then to the suppliers or to distribution centers that then you go out, and buy from the retail stores. Inauguration. The port was created essentially in 1970. It was going to be an economic engine and continues to expand to be an economic engine along with the airport. First commodities, we're still handling petroleum and phosphates. All of the gas that you buy at the local stores, gas stations, is coming from the port. In fact, the port serves as an economic engine for the entire Southwest Florida when it comes to gasoline. First thing that happens when there's a hurricane coming, the governor's office calls, how's the gas doing? That's the only thing we want to know. Okay? Because it's so critical, the port's function as a critical infrastructure to maintain that supply. And those were the first tanks that were built at the port back in 1970. It shows how important it was to have the petroleum closely available to the region. Here's a little, picture of how ships used to be unloaded. It's a bit more sophisticated today, but we're still handling plywood, scrap metal, waste paper. What's good about handling scrap metal, obviously, is that since we can't eat it, we can't bury it, we export it. So the port's customers export the scrap metal to another country, where it gets turned into essentially rebar that gets then shipped back here for construction of the homes and buildings that we build. We used to have a little cruise line. We're looking to expand that or bring that back, whether a cruise line or a ferry service, a fast ferry like you have in Europe, between, let's say, Barcelona and Civitavecchia in Italy. It's about a day and a half or so. That will be an opportunity to take passengers and cars to Mexico, for example, in the future to Cuba, for example, but connecting those islands to which we don't have a bridge with a port, for essentially not just Manatee County, all of Central Florida. The port today, 1,100 acres. Now, I'll give you a little quiz, but essentially, how many acres do you all think the Port of Miami has? 600 acres. 600 acres, and we have 1,100 acres. Imagine the growth opportunities. Enormous growth opportunities for the port. In addition to that, many of our customers have purchased additional land across the street. I mean, significant amount of over 400 acres of land for the purposes of developing port infrastructure. So we have, a lot of warehouse space, a lot of refrigerated warehouse space, because what we process through the port essentially is what you buy at the store, like I said earlier. When Jeff talked earlier about the Seaports Council, we have about 15 seaports in Florida. So we come together to lobby as a port system, because essentially being independent ports, we want to have the strength as a port system to influence funding for port projects in comparison, for example, to Georgia, which is our next door neighbor and competitor, who only has essentially one port system, the Georgia Ports Authority. That helps tremendously in securing funding for the ports, because ports grow by what you buy. So you drive more, we bring in more. You build more homes, we bring in more lumber. So all of that growth is driven by consumption and expansion in population. And what's happening in our region? It's all about expanding the population. Every time we have around, we have another development, we have another expansion, we have growth like the East Coast of Florida cannot handle in terms of they're all built out, but they're coming here to build better and higher quality of life homes than they can in other parts of the country. Of course, we are, competing with some ports, like the Port of Tampa, and we call ourselves, the right turn on Tampa Bay, as opposed to the Port of Tampa, and we have a little friendly rivalry. And I'll tell you a story is that, we bring in 48 million pineapples. And the Port of Tampa brings in 0 pineapples. So we see that there's a kind of a trade show convention the Port of Tampa is holding for pineapples. We say, oh, okay. So I had our director of business development say, listen, sign up, and just go, courtesy thing. And so he signs up, pays his due, because the organization holding the event was not the Port of Tampa, it was a separate organization. And so he sends his money, then a week later he gets uninvited. So what? I get uninvited? What do you mean get uninvited? It's impossible. How can you get uninvited? He goes, well, go anyway. Right, so he decides to go anyway. Then he came back, he goes, Carlos, this is the first time I got escorted out by security from a conference. Literally escorted out from the convention of pineapples, of which we handle 40 million and they handle 0, and it went downhill from there. So we kind of have fun. I mean, again, the growth in Florida will raise all ships. There's just too much cargo, too many residents that require the commodities and the pineapples and the bananas that we bring in and other ports do. International trade, that's our expertise. We are essentially, our job though, more than a support, when we are asked, what's your job? We're global supply chain solutions. That's what we provide. Problems beyond at the granular level, not just a container, but how does that container come here? What can we do to make it come here faster? What can we do to ship it out faster? That or any other commodity. We understand the process and the barriers involved. And by doing that, we help potential customers solve problems that then help them come to the port. These are some of the numbers, which are rather impressive. The economic impact, the jobs direct and indirect. I mean, about 2,500, 3,000 people come to work at the port every day. They don't work for the SeaPort. They work for the customers the SeaPort has. And all that is done, without taxpayer or ad valorem taxes. It's truly a business. As Dave Sanford there, my deputy director, says, if we don't kill it, we don't eat it. So we kill a lot. If it comes in, we are there to ensure that we can not only put the process and the food on the tables when we bring in the pineapples, but that we can feed the port, supply the port, and keep it as a thriving entity for you and the rest of South Florida. So large numbers. The oversight is rather interesting. We have oversight by every federal agency you can imagine, because when you enter the port, you're entering essentially a federal agency, let's say territory, that has USDA, has US Customs, it has water protection, it has everybody in there. They all have responsibilities as the interface with the customers of the port. So when a ship docks, US Customs goes upstairs, goes up the gangway, checks the credentials and the passports of every crew member, right? And that either lets them off the ship or it does not. They're restricted to the ship, or maybe they can get off by only at the port. And some of them can leave the port. And we have thousands of sailors, thousands. Where do you think the place they want to go to is? Huh? The mall. The mall. Take me to the mall. So those sailors not only are customers of the port, but they're also shoppers. I mean, Anchor House, which is a ministry that we have at the port, religious ministry, has a special van to take them to the mall. Because that's what they want to do. They have, they've been away maybe 2 or 3 months, and before they go home, they got to buy the refrigerator, air conditioner, and all those things their families need back where they come from. So that's an interesting thing. So they go and buy. They keep our commerce going, not just stop at the port and then leave. These are some of our customers at the port. Right? So you have, for example, AMT, the Good Manatee Terminals. That's a new customer from Chile. Ash Grove with cement, Del Monte with fruit, Gulf stevedoring, doing discharging and loading on port, Skidmore Morgan, and so on and forth. Martin Marietta, Seaball, World Direct, petroleum. It's a broad diversity of commodities and a broad diversity of companies. The port accommodates them, makes it work together. Then we build those companies for the services and infrastructure we provide, because it isn't cheap to maintain a port with 40 plus feet of water of draft, with a 1,100 acre footprint, with security that we run. Our large department in counts of people is security, because we have to maintain a secure port, and that is open 24 hours a day. More than Publix, more than anybody, we never close. Even the hurricanes, we haven't closed. We maintain a secure facility. Someone needs to come in after the hurricane and leave, we're there. So it's rather, I think, really an honor to me that these, loyal employees stay there through the storm, to make sure that commerce can continue flowing immediately before or immediately after the storm. So, in contrast to other businesses, we have to go after our customers. As you know, Tampa tried to steal our, pineapples. Well, that's millions of dollars, that's a lot of money. And as you can see there, the other one is, right there, the pineapples are literally what we bring. 48 million of those. We could fill this whole room and not have enough facilities to put in the pineapple. So that's the reason we have the pineapples on the table. By the way, we also have pineapples outside Right over there? Okay, so everybody gets a pineapple. So we go after business by developing programs and initiatives wherever the customers are. So if goods happen to be in Chile, that's our latest and largest customer. Well, we've been talking to them about coming and coming and coming. Come on, you gotta come. And they finally came. It's a long-term process because coming to a port, a shipping company, doesn't mean $100,000. It means millions and millions of dollars just to see if it works. So it better work, and we have to assure them it works before they invest, multi-million dollars in coming to the port. That otherwise, they might not want to come to. So we convince them of the opportunity, we facilitate them coming, but then we sign a deal, multi-year deal that guarantees us a revenue stream of income that both pays for what they're using and also compensates the port for their investment. One of the opportunities that happened, when I first came to the port is that we had a building. In other words, this building you see here, one of this pointer and up we go. It was called the Intermodal Building. It's been renamed the International Trade Center, and we have an international trade hub because we can only reach so many international executives with ships. The rest might not need to ship through the port, but yet can become an important part of international trade for the port and for the communities around us. So in this building that was in 2012 totally empty, some customers had left totally empty, brand new building, I thought we need to really do something here. And we created the International Trade Hub that today literally attracts dozens of companies from throughout the globe to come and see what Manatee County has to offer. I'm extremely, extremely proud of the Manatee Chamber. Tell you why, when we try to bring in overseas companies, one of the first things we do is we go and get the International Trade Commissioner for that country. And the International Trade Commissioner, usually in Miami, will not come to Manatee on their own. So they'll throw up an excuse. Well, I'm so busy. Yeah, but your responsibility, is it just for Miami? Is that your territory? No. It's the southeast of the U.S. Well, but I don't know how to get there. We'll pick you up. So we'll send the car, we'll pick them up. But then I have to get approval for the budget, wait for your hotel. We bring them, we put them before the Port Authority so they can understand how we work. We show them the county. We take them to the chamber because they're extremely impressed, and I'm so proud of the chamber, and they're more than impressed with the size and the quality and the staff of the chamber, too. And so the trade commissioners are the principal officers for their country. So when someone, let's say from Brazil, which is Florida's largest and our largest trading partner, when a Brazilian company wants to expand in the U.S., they will call their Commerce Department. Hey, listen, I want to go to the U.S. Where? Oh, Florida. Okay. That chief commercial officer that's in Miami will say, well, Broward, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, maybe Martin County, Now they've come here. Now they know there's Broward, Miami, Palm Beach, and Manatee. So now they have another tool in their pocket to be able to promote because they've seen it. And the portfolio that we can offer here compared to Miami-Dade or Broward or Palm Beach is significantly better, in my opinion. Significantly better. Also, the chamber in itself, the membership, the reputation of the chamber, they don't have that down there. So we are able then, with the hub, to do the following. Bring in the customer, we'll give them free office space. It's an incubator. We'll give them free office space. We'll incorporate the company. We'll charge them for the $50 instead of the $5,000 they charge them in Miami to incorporate a company, right? Or the $20,000 per month for office space. So they can get to work quickly on business deals and forming a company and having a small warehouse and then being able to act, in a way that they're hiring people to do business that they need to do here instead of waiting or staying in Miami. So it's become an extremely positive tool for the region and the port itself. So these are some of the companies at the hub today. Now, these companies come and go. We don't want them to meander there, drink the coffee only. Get out there in the neighborhood. Get out there in Manatee County. And I see Jay Barnett here that helps them out a lot at the county, doing that introduction to the companies, the chamber itself, really as a team. The first day, and we brought a lot of trade commissioners. Once they came all together, they were sitting in front, that was in the chamber. The first thing I told them is, welcome to the United States. Because they know Miami is not the US anymore. So therefore, they're truly, for the first time, they truly have touched US territory. They get it when they see it. They see very few people speak Spanish. They don't see any Mexicans, the Colombians. That waitress or waiter doesn't speak any languages. Oh my God, I really am in the U.S. Because that's the same welcome they get from U.S. Customs. Welcome to the United States. But they're not. They're in Miami. And they recognize it's a different country. If you want to do business in the U.S., you've got to come here. Otherwise, you're dealing with someone in Miami who has a cousin, who has a neighbor that has a typewriter that can do a $4,000 incorporation of your company, in 2 days. So they truly are dealing with principles. What I tell you, you're dealing here with the principal of the company, not a supplier, not a neighbor of that company, truly dealing with the principles, and they really, really recognize and appreciate that. Those are some of the numbers. So total, we have 11 million containers. Containers were 1,000 containers short of the Port of Tampa. From 0 10 years ago to today, we fell short by 1,000 containers all of the Port of Tampa, with less equipment and less space, but being more efficient. Our companies in the port are extremely efficient in how they handle the containers. Exactly. Petroleum, significant amount of petroleum. I mean, again, all the petroleum they usually buy. Orange juice, one of our largest commodities. 1.2 billion bananas. I said, that's impossible. Somebody made a mistake when I first came, right? No, it's true. They weighed them, it's per box, and it came out to be, so who's eating 1.2 billion bananas if there are only 22 million people in Florida, right? We're feeding everybody up the East Coast. So the port acts as a regional and local impact to the region. The pineapples again, and of course avocados. A few years ago, avocados were not that big. In the last maybe 10 years, they become very, very, I think, marketable and a demand product. So we're bringing in those. So we can, depending on the demand, bring in avocados or pineapples or any other fruit that you want to buy. Again, stocking the shelves at your local supermarket. Refrigerators, for example, here, and kitchen appliances. Last year, the port brought in 400 million gross sales for appliances because the boom of every home that was being built or every home that was damaged needed appliances. So we're bringing those in from Mexico because the U.S. companies have moved a lot of their production to Mexico. In fact, after Detroit, Mexico is the largest American car producer in the world. And so it shows you that it's not really Mexican companies, it's US companies manufacturing overseas. And so those are some of the commodities. But of course, one of the things we miss the most, and we all know, right? We got you on the input, and we got you on the output. Okay? Unstocked shelves. The port brings in from Brazil paper pulp. That then goes to Kimberly-Clark and all the other manufacturers to make that commodity. Okay? Nobody thought it became such demand until the COVID situation stopped the shipments of these commodities and the ability of the manufacturers to produce enough and deliver enough to meet the needs. And so lumber also coming in from Brazil for Home Depot and other stores and Lowe's. And so also though, Project Cargo, and one of our most beneficial opportunities came when air products. which is directly across the street, moved from Scranton, Pennsylvania, to Manatee County. And the county did a fantastic job. Economic development, the EDC, the commissioners, to attract a global company such as Air Products. Move them out of Scranton and bring them down here. The only reason why they're here, the selling point wasn't just the facility, it was the location. They wanted to be at a port or across the street from the port. And today, they can point direct, because these LNG equipment is essentially the size of, half a football field. And they cannot, as you can tell, not very able to make a lot of turns, so they bring them down from across the street on 41, across the road. They close US 41 for a few minutes and take it right to the ship. However, each one of these in this facility is employing over 400 people, welders from zero. And even the Board of Education, Manatee County, MTC, was able to train all these welders because we didn't have 400 welders lying around, when they first came. So the entire county came together at the port to make this happen. So by itself, it created all those jobs, and they're working things essentially 3 shifts constantly. So again, a good employer, good SeaPort County, and manufacturing opportunity. Of course, we do a lot of materials that will bring through the port because all the road expansion. So this is coming through the port, either from Canada or from other parts of the world, discharged and delivered by truck to FDOT or the road builder for construction. Fuel, not only do we supply Manatee County, but we supply all the way down the West Coast, even into Broward, sometimes Palm Beach and Miami, because when the hurricane is coming and they close these ports here on the East Coast, the fuel companies can continue to deliver fuel from inland towards the sea because the port is closed, but the land is open. So it gives us the opportunity to be able to help out county south of us to maintain the level of facility and need for fuel. So 405 million gallons of fuel. It's a lot of fuel that happens day and night. The ship comes in, it unloads the fuel, goes to the tank, then a tanker truck, goes you see on the road, pulls up as if they were pulling up to a gas station. They pull a credit card, they swipe it, they fill the tank, they swipe it again, they close it, and they're off to the gas station. It's automatic. It isn't being done. So that driver then goes to the gas station, discharges the load, closes the truck back up, goes back to the port, does over 200 trucks and 400 truck trips a day to deliver that gas. So enough for 55,000 cars per day. And again, a very broad range of counties, over 11 counties being served, Palm Beach and Miami-Dade. Look to the future. We have the opportunity with the Port Authority to expand the port dramatically. As you heard, 600 acres in the Port of Miami, 1,100 acres with us, and we can really start expanding the port exponentially because as the population grows, the need for additional commodities handled through the port also grows. And we need to be there to meet that demand. Otherwise, they're going to have a truck from Miami, driving all the way across the state to bring it here, while we could be doing this for you, bringing it closer without polluting the environment by a truck driving over 200 miles, 4 or 5 hours from Port of Miami. The expansion we're looking at is additional berthing throughout the port, and also opportunities for expansion in other areas, including an intermodal container facility for rail, moving containers out of the port by rail, which will help with the trucking, reduce the trucking, and essentially grow the port as the community grows and in anticipation of the additional demand the community has. So some of the projects you can see add up essentially to quite a bit of money for us, $45 million that is internally generated by the port. We have to make our own money. We don't get handed, the Port of Tampa, for example, every January, maybe it's every October 1st, the county, Hillsborough County, comes over to the Denise Stufflebeam, which is our CFO at the port, and hands her an $11 million, $12 million check. Here, the county says you have this money. Since I've been here 12 years, it would have been over $120 million I could have to grow the port. While they're doing it, of course, with essentially subsidies from the residents and the home owners of Hillsborough County. So truly, that separates us from, from Tampa, which is we earn money, the old-fashioned way, we earn it. So that's, the way that we make this happen. Again, expanding the container yards, which essentially put containers on, because of the increases in cost of materials, each acre is now around $1.5 million per acre of expansion yard. Very, very expensive because of the lighting, because of the paving, because of the drainage. And to put containers on, it has to be very, very thick. So it's not cheap for 1 acre to spend $1.5 million before you even put a customer on. So that money has to be advanced. That money has to be, put on the table before the containers come. I'm going to show you a quick little overview of the port, a little video, and then we'll wrap it up. That's it, thank you. So one of the companies the commissioner is referring to is World Direct Shipping. They're essentially a grocer that runs the DeKalb County Farmers Market, or Mine Market, as they call it. So they felt there was opportunities and efficiencies if they brought in their own fruit that was coming in by truck from Mexico. So that's like a passenger saying, I don't like how fast I get to Europe, so I'm going to really start my own airline. So that's very daring. So they do that, and they charter a ship, bringing the fruit from central Mexico directly to SeaPort, Manatee. We accommodated, we did all the work, and we all the facilities and all they needed. So they bring in one chartered ship, which essentially chartered means rent, right? A rented ship. They fill that ship up. They say, you know what? Let's buy the ship and let's charter a second ship. They buy the ship, they charter a second ship. They buy the second ship, they charter a third. Now they own 3 ships, okay? And handling 100,000 containers almost of not just fruits and vegetables. It's the appliances you're buying, it's the toothpaste you're buying, everything that's being manufactured by Colgate, by the refrigerator companies, by the air conditioning companies that you buy. So essentially their cargo rights for free, okay? Because they're making the importers of the commodities pay for that. But then they surprise us even further. Never expected this. They go out, without saying anything, they purchased 425 acres of land across the port. To my knowledge, in the state of Florida, No shipping line has ever purchased 425 acres of land anywhere. It just doesn't happen. It shows how unique that company is and supportive of the port, because you don't buy that if you don't think they're gonna hang around. And so the idea is to develop facilities and to grow their facilities, where we then facilitate shipping for the ocean side, and they're doing the land side. So very, very unique. You're right. Very, very fortunate to have this company. We take good care of them, make sure they don't go anywhere. They've been receiving offers for Tampa from everybody. But when you buy that land across the street, pretty much we're happy, you know? Thank you for the question. I've been telling our federal agencies that it's not our business. It's how much it impacts your business. Because when you go to the supermarket, and because the ships have to slow down, you can't find the toilet paper again. You can't find the products you want to buy again. There's a shortage of oranges. There's a shortage of gas. The ports are de minimis in the impact. It's the community that will suffer because the commodities will not be able to get to you. That's my argument with the federal government. You're not affecting us, you know, you're affecting the residents and the citizens, you know, that live in Florida, because they're the ones who are going to see the shortages of commodities. If the ship has to slow down to that extent, can't work at night, guess what happens? You either buy more ships and lose money, or deliver it during the day, and if the product gets to you in the supermarket, it does, and if it doesn't, too bad. Well, why should you suffer the consequences of something like that? So I expect a solution will be found that accommodates both the rice whale, that's what it's called, a very, you know, on the verge of extinction whale, and really the necessities, the basic necessities of the residents, you know, of Manatee County in the state of Florida. Because we don't serve just one county. Same thing would be for Tampa, same thing for the Gulf ports. It would have a huge impact on the residents. I tell them, forget about the ports. Worry about the people. You know, worry about, you know, the residents of the county and the residents of the state. So that's what we're hoping, you know, they will understand and have the impact that I think needs to happen. Very good question, right? So FDOT will say when we have enough volume, because if we route it through let's say one road only, we would. But I think the ability to go north or south, you know, or to the interstate now is pretty good already. You can make a right-hand turn at the port, and you're 275 or 75 in seconds. So to add another, let's say, a direct connection to 75, and Dave Sanford and I were just talking about this yesterday. You know, there's an issue with, you know, the Federal Highway Administration, right, Dave? And there's an issue, of course, that the exits cannot be that close together. You would have 3 exits within 2 miles of each other or less. It ain't going to happen that easily. But in the meantime, we have more than enough capacity to go with the trucks north or south to I-75 or up towards Hillsborough County without it being a bottleneck where, you know, we're needing to build this because the congestion that's going to come is going to be really onerous, and we need to do something. We're not anticipating that at this time, but we'll keep an eye on it every day at DOT to make sure that that doesn't happen. Good question, right? How does the military affect? Of course, we have, you know, Central Command, right, in Tampa, right? So they don't tell us, you know, if they're running submarines or running drones, they're running it, they don't tell us, they keep us in the dark, and every other Florida port in the dark. The submarine base, essentially, for the military happens to be in Canaveral. You know, they have a very secretive base right next to Port Canaveral. They don't know anything that's going on. So we're kept in the dark, as we should, because it's a military, let's say, restricted area. So we're not sure. We're not sure. But just the fact that, as you know, when the vessel that dove to the Titanic imploded, right, and it's way out of the coast, you know, the sonars and the microphones that the Navy had at the bottom of the ocean already told them, you know, there had been a catastrophic collapse of that Titanic, you know, exploration vessel that went down there. So that's prevalent, you know, the technology is super good, but really we're not told when they're doing that.
All right, no military secrets to share today. Okay, well, with that, we will still show our appreciation to Carlos Buqueras. Thank you so much, and to the SeaPort Manatee team as well. We are deeply grateful for the partnership and look forward to working together on a number of issues as we move forward. A couple of thanks to wrap up. Once again, thank you so much to our headliner sponsors, Florida Power and Light, Manatee Memorial Hospital, the Mosaic Company, and the Realtors Association of Sarasota Manatee. Thank you so much to Manatee Educational Television, our team that's here, and we'll, I'm sure, post this recording within hours to allow those who weren't able to join us in person to be able to hear all of this great information. A couple of upcoming dates and opportunities to be involved with the Chamber that may be of interest to you. Next week, we start our Big Bank Theory program. So this is the opportunity that the Chamber takes to send hundreds of business volunteers, just like each of you in this room, into every high school in Manatee County to run through really what's a simulation of the game of life to reinforce financial literacy amongst our high school seniors. We still need volunteers for all 8 of the high schools that we'll be visiting. So if you'd like to spend a couple hours, we make it super easy for you, and I guarantee you'll have a great experience. There is an orientation if you want to learn more this afternoon, so you can leave right here and go to the Chamber's Lakewood Ranch office, borrow our Wi-Fi for a couple hours, and then learn a little bit more about Big Bank this afternoon at 4. October 19th, we have a webinar for businesses on artificial intelligence and how small businesses can utilize that for marketing. I think this is our 3rd or 4th AI seminar or webinar. Every one of them has sold out. So it's great information. We all are hearing about AI and how it may impact us daily in the jobs that we do. So you can join us on October 19th for that webinar. Our next Coffee Club networking event is on October 26th at Meals on Wheels Plus. And then Chamber Expo at the ballpark at Lecom Park is coming up in November. This will sell out, so whether you want to purchase a booth to be able to market your company or whether you would like to take advantage of a 500+ person networking opportunity, make sure you mark your calendars for our annual Fall Chamber Expo. Finally, it's been mentioned a few times, but you see some pineapples on the tables. Not only that, but I see them piled up to my left. Most of you are right here. There may be some out front. I know what this is like because as a chamber employee, we take stuff to events all the time. The port does not want to take these pineapples back. You've heard how many are coming tomorrow and the next day and the next day, so please take a pineapple or two, enjoy that special treat, and we will see you at our next event, possibly our next headliners, but maybe before then. Y'all have a great afternoon. Thank you.